Hello and welcome back. MC1 Gamer here, bringing you I guess, kind of an unusual video today. This is kind of a hybrid, a combination with a lot of the videos that I've been doing over the course of several years now. This is the culmination of a lot of the effort that I've had putting together a specific army with just a tremendous amount of converting. It's the kind of passion and epic, hobby goals that I think everybody should try to undertake, but only if you're a little bit insane. So the reason why I'm doing this now, I've actually done a number of different videos with converting various different parts of this army, and just recently a series of videos have come out, part of the YouTuber community, the Warhammer YouTuber community, that made me bring it to light, bring it out to the forefront, and really want to talk about it and showcase it. And the reason is because the topic of the week for this week that Vince Ventrello has put out, again with the Warhammer YouTuber community, does this every week, which is great. It gets us all talking about things. It gets us all conversing, and sometimes challenging. But also just giving our opinion. But it really brings the community together. But the topic of the week is about converting. But in addition to that, there's also this PMP challenge that's going on, which is a players motivating players from Google, Google community, the Google Plus community, which is the ongoing effort by many people who are hobbyists to try and get stuff painted, to fight the eternal war against the gray, so that we're not all playing with just gray plastic models. And I've always had a bit of a problem in just building up more armies like anybody else who's in this hobby, and but I have a worse problem. There's a few people I think can identify, but I like to convert, and I like to build just unique models. And so I'm not only answering the topic of the week here for Vince, talking about converting, but also addressing this big hobby challenge to kind of build and paint a army that is converted with installments over the course of 6 months. But also, this is my therapy. I mean, I guess I might need help. This is just this long-standing, long-term quest that I put myself on, and I did it, when I decided I wanted to get back into Warhammer. I had taken several years off, and early in my transition to Warhammer Fantasy, I'd played 40K before that, but my transition to Fantasy was just at the release of 5th edition. And I got involved with the Bretonnians and the Undead, and I just love those armies. And when I decided to come back, I did a lot of lurking for a couple of years before I actually came back. Just watching videos and learning about the game and seeing if I really wanted to do this. And when I decided that I wanted to come back, it was just seemed like a no-brainer to kind of do either of those armies. But I decided to do both, and I decided I wanted to convert up an entire undead army that could also be a Bretonnian army, that I could substitute to become to play either or. And I wanted to convert up the knights to be specifically undead versions of those of Knights of the Realm or Grail Knights, and have it still look like an army that could be a Bretonnian army. And I've seen other people do it. This is not something completely new. There's actually fluff. There's a story involving a duchy within the empire, within Bretonnia actually, that was run by the Red Duke, which was a vampire, and he had all these undead, and so it was actually written into the lore. And it was even a little bit mentioned, although I wish it was a little bit more mentioned. It's too bad they kind of missed a nice opportunity. But it was it was mentioned, and it was part of one aspect of the end times when the old world was eventually destroyed, but prior to the launch of Age of Sigmar. So I had started this quest to build this army through 8th edition all the way up until the death of the old world. And I had struggled with whether or not I was actually going to keep with the hobby when Age of Sigmar first launched. But that obviously, as everybody knows, I'm probably one of the biggest champions of Age of Sigmar. I'm one of the first and earliest of adopters of the game. But I had my doubts early on, and I really just decided to go with both feet, as many people, probably long-standing followers of mine, know. Part of it was just because of this crazy project and whether or not it would apply. And after, I started playing Age of Sigmar, I certainly, the rule set started to resonate with me. I started appreciating it rather than buying into all the rhetoric and nonsense and, rage and hate that a lot of it was spewing around the net. I decided to find out for myself, and when I started playing it, it really hit home. But what was really interesting was that this concept that I had kind of fit with the lore too. The idea that all these Bretonnians, which were pretty much wiped out during the end times, still live on in one respect. First of all, they're a playable army. You can use the compendium. There's points even in the new General's Handbook where you can utilize the Bretonnians as a standalone army or as part of an order army. There's plenty of people that are doing it. There's lots of people that that have been playing that way already, and now there's official ways to do it with the newly resurged organized circuit for match play, for tournament style play. And I've done a bunch of videos already with different aspects, Free People's Order, Stormcast, combinations that people have been using and now bringing to events that include even Bretonnians. And that's was just certainly a great stamp of approval in that respect, that Bretonnia still has a place in Age of Sigmar, even though the models themselves have been discontinued. But even more so, the idea in the story that these long, these once heroic valiant knights and the various units that comprise this particular army, defeated as they were and absorbed now into perhaps the ranks of Nagash or any of his lieutenants, really, kind of gave this army idea a continued life. It makes sense. Even the eons that have passed since the death of the old world, and now that we're sitting in the new times, the Age of Sigmar, where this kind of makes sense still. The undead, they're not going to go away. They're dead, and Nagash has his legions, a lot of which are just the remnants of dead heroes, warriors, or whatever, wizards and whatnot. And so it makes complete sense. So I have I've picked up my converting. I've certainly picked up my painting, but with this new interest in a building of a challenge to build a converted army, an army that has uniqueness, it really hits home with me, because I wanted this army to be mine. I didn't intend it to ever be resold. You'd have I wondered if I would finish it before my son graduated college. I was wondering if I was just bordering on the edge of insanity undertaking it, but here I am. I'm in the midst of it, and then there's this challenge, and I feel like I can jump into this challenge because I have a lot of stuff that's already kind of queued up, and I've been distracted, like many of us in the hobby are, with Beastclaw Raiders, the Ogres, and Sylvaneth. I'm really on the final edge of finishing my Sylvaneth army, and I promised myself that I wouldn't pop open Lariel's box and start building and painting that model until I finish that. But with this challenge, I kind of got to get back to this. This is where my heart is, and this has been just I need to put more of this onto the finishing side of my model collection. And I decided that in doing that, I wanted to start off with this video showing what I'm building, what my vision is, how I see doing it, what's involved here. And there's a whole bunch to it. So buckle in if you're interested in this. There's a whole lot to talk about. I've got a lot. So I'm just going to first start off with some rank and file stuff and some basic stuff. Now here you see this is a representation of a lot of different units, and not even everything. I only had so much space on this table, but I wanted to kind of put together something that just gave a taste of what we're talking about here and how I'm making this my army and converting it. Some of these ideas I've taken from others that other people I've seen do similar stuff. A lot of it is my own, and you'll see that through magnetization and combined kits, I've really made this a unique army of my own. So some of the things are, like, for instance, these are, I saw an example of this. I didn't want just the standard ghouls. I wanted something that was a little more unique. So what I did is I converted up the flagellants with the ghoul. Let's see if I can find a way to, there we go, to make the ghouls look a lot different. I wanted them more standing up, And this is an example. I just used the heads, the arms, and then the bodies of the flagellants. And I made a bunch of these guys. And I think they came out great, but I haven't finished them. And I have to go move them over to rounds. And I've got about 30 of these. I'm only showing about 5 or 8 of them. And I really like the way they came out. But I figured these would be like, Grail pilgrims or, some other type of, troops from the Bretonnian ranks that were corrupted in some way by the undead. So there you have it. That's that unit. That is the first. I completely combined from 2 kits, and that's a theme that you're going to see, a long running theme in this army. But the next thing is my zombies. So I have zombies that I converted up in a number of different ways. Again, these are going to be changed over to rounds. I have about 70 of the regular zombies without any conversions that are already on rounds, but these are the ones that I've made, and you can see they're still on squares and they're magnetized on a metal movement tray from 8th edition, but these are the ones that are converted, so I wanted to definitely showcase these. But I made a bunch of them with various different parts combined from the men-at-arms and the zombie kit. You can see this one has an axe right in his chest, not completed, but soon to be. And I have a number of different things. Here's like the banner bearer, and as you can, this is again a theme of mine, is magnetization. I like magnets. I've got a thing for magnets. I did this mostly because I wanted to. These things break, and I wanted to make sure that I brought this to the table and I put it in a movement tray, that it wasn't going to break off. So why not just take this? And I can also use this for other things. Like, for instance, I can use it with another man-at-arms I'm working on who has a skull, and I could always stick it on there. Of course, I think the polarity is different on this one, but that's all right. I'm just going to make another one of those anyway. But, here's a man-at-arms just with a casualty skull. But, I don't know if I'm going to paint him up necessarily as a zombie, because I already have one like this. So I can combine these and do just fine with my zombie men-at-arms and with the regular zombies I have, which I have probably about 100. But these guys, I've made, this one has, for instance, an arrow through him. Because, of course, arrows aren't going to stop these guys quite as much. You can see that, and again, not complete yet, but working on it. You can see they have a little, just to accentuate the connection to Musalon or Musalon, a little yellow on the, because yellow and black are the colors of Musalon, and I'm going to stick with that. So I have, a variety of different conditions. This is one that has had a sword stabbed in through the chest, and again, not complete, just in that stage that unfortunately at some point I got diverted from completing, and now I'm going to return to it. So those are the zombies. Something very small and simple is, well, I'm dropping stuff already, and then this is just based black, which is just a little skull installed on the wand for the damsel. So I've got that. Here is a white king holding the banner. Could be a battle standard bearer. Again, magnetized. As a matter of fact, if I ever want to not use him as such, and I want to use him as just as a great weapon wielding white king, there you go. So I can add that on, which is fine, but of course this is mostly how he's going to be used. I've got, this is Krell, as everybody knows, but Krell is also magnetized, so all these pieces come off, and I can do a number of different things. For instance, I've got, what's his name's, King Louis's head from the updated model, and other parts. Let's see if I can remember how I did this. I think it's, there we go. This is when I wanted to make him a vampire lord. So I had a variety of different parts that would magnetize on here. Let's see if I can get that made up there. There you go. This was when I was doing WYSIWYG stuff. So you could have a vampire with 2 weapons. All right, I even have a shield magnetized that I can put on him, so I can turn him into that. You know, just a little bit of an example. And I just like the skulls and the cloak. So that could be a White King, that could be a Vampire Lord. I've used them in several different ways. Just figuring out different ways to take advantage of you know, different bits in the magnetization. And then if I ever want to use them as Krell, well, there you go. Pop them right back on, and hey, it's Krell. Not going to lose the ability to use a White King with a Great Axe anymore. Some other things that I had done, I decided that if I was going to have Spirit Host, they were going to be the spirits of dead heroic knights. So this is a Spirit Host, and I've got a couple of them, which these are going to, again, get rebased on rounds. And obviously they're not done painting, and I'm glad, good thing, because they're going to be rebased. But this is a good example of some of the Spirit Hosts that I'm using. And then I have Hex Wraiths, which I dubbed my these are Hex Wraiths. These are Questing Knights. I'm actually using, in some respects, Questing Knights. But, you know, I put them on rounds, which is why there's some difference here on the base, but I'm going to build that up when I do the basing. But these are in mid, you know, very early stage. But I converted up so that they're wielding various different types of great weapons. And these are the Questing Knights that apparently failed their quest. And so, yeah, they've all been rebased and are ready to start getting tackled for, you know, complete repainting. Here's another Hex Wraith, or again, subbed as a Questing Knight. And everything I have, by the way, has these washers. They're either on the washers or they have washers underneath, because I use magnetic strips on the plastic bins that I use, and that just keeps everything, you know, from, you know, toppling over. It's not something I'd put on a plane or turn upside down, but for transport in car and for tournament, you know, going table to table, or just, you know, going back and forth from the game shop to your house, it's ideal. So here's another Hex Wraith. Again, Hex Wraith / Questing Knight. You know, kind of works. Then we're talking about Black Knights. Just, these are my Knights of the Realm, and I've used the actual Bretonnian horse, the Bretonnian chargers, but here are the skeleton horse that are underneath, and you can see even here that I've even put, you know, a skeleton teeth and face inside there. There's obviously skeletal arms on from the exposed areas of the knight. Here you can see that as well. But he has the helm, the actual Bretonnian body. This is actually a skeleton arm, but there's going to be a shield there. So really went to town on that, and there's a whole bunch of them. I'm going to show you a couple more of these. You know, obviously these I need more of them. I've got I think about 8 of these. And I think they came out well. Here, there's an example of putting in a bone face, but you can see that these are all the skeleton structure of, you know, dremeled out all of these and put in actual skeleton steeds, and went so far as to make each one of these arms skeletal. So the way it's going to work is, here's another one here that, here, let's remove some of this refuse here. This is the musician. Again, same thing. Using a more of a zombie-esque horse head, which is something you can find. It's not easy to find. But these are going to be the Knights of the Realm / Black Knights. But there's got to be more knights, right? Well, there are. These are my Blood Knights / the Grail Knights. So this is going to be, now with these I used, as you can see, they have these fur cloaks, which I love. I've got the heads of the Bretonnians, the lances of the Bretonnians. The chargers are going to be the Bretonnian chargers, obviously, the nightmares, but they're going to obviously have red eyes and flaming hooves. And these are going to be my Grail Knights, but they're also going to be my Blood Knights. And I think these came out great, and I cannot wait to get started to actually paint these up. These, I just love the way they came out. And these are Chaos Knight bodies with these cloaks, but I just thought they looked great to work with to make them just really stand out from the Black Knights. So there are those. Got a couple more I can show you there with the dragon helm. There we go. So those are my Blood Knights slash Grail Knights. I decided my Cryptars were, this is not going to really qualify as Bretonnian, but my Cryptars are actually werewolves. I wanted something different. I wanted something unique. So I have from the Blood Knights, I have, I think, 12. I have about 8 or 9 of the Black Knights. I'm actually gonna get them up to 16, because that's how much I think I'll be using total. These I have 12 of. Okay, I have 12 total of these, and I've got a bunch of them, and I love the way they came out. I've gotten a lot of nice feedback on them, so I really want to finish them up now and get them used. I use these for the Flesh Eater courts, and of course, with this army, I think that works fine as for part of the Undead side. Got a little giant head, and I think it works really well on this for the Undead side of it, certainly as a death army. I'm even using these as my Yetis for my Beastclaw Avalanche, because I have a bunch of them, and I have one list that requires 12. So perfect, and they actually look kind of Yeti-ish. I think they would work fairly well. Okay, so I had to convert properly a Vampire Lord on a Zombie Dragon, but I didn't want it to just be a Zombie Dragon. See, I have a replacement, and you take a look. First of all, I have a Bretonnian Lord as my my Vampire Lord. He even has a customized helm with a dragon on it that I used a Wood Elf banner top for that. So gave him a nice shield with a fleur-de-lis, as you can hopefully see from the, there we go, you probably can see that there. He is magnetized, but because of Flesh Eater Courts, I wanted some versatility, so I have a Ghoul King that can sit on here. So I can make it a Ghoul King. I can either make it an unridden zombie dragon, a zombie dragon ridden by a Ghoul King, a zombie dragon ridden by a Vampire Lord. But I even did this, where I could swap out the head and make it a Terrorgeist, either by itself or ridden by a Ghoul King on a Terrorgeist. So lots of options on this one. I have a second one of these that is not converted at all. He is just a Terrorgeist, and I'm looking to get another one that I can double in, similar to this, that could be either ridden or with a specific mount. But I really like the way that came out, and I think that the helm, it looks very kind of draconic there too. Works well with that fleur-de-lis. So this is, primed and ready to start painting. And again, everything's got those washers because they don't slide in my trays. Then I needed some either Pegasus Knights or potentially Fellbats or even Vargeists. So I made these. And I did a video on this a while back. These are not completely done. I just recently rebased them because they were on squares. Actually, no, they were on rounds, but they were too small. But these are zombie / skeleton Pegasus. And I use these mostly as Fellbats, but I can use them as other things. Obviously, these are the wings from the Carrion. I could use them as Carrion even. It's just I declare exactly what they are. Mostly I use these as Fellbats. But I have I think I have 6 of these total, but there are only 3 sitting here to display today. Mostly finished. Got a few small extra things to do. Certainly got to finish the base because I changed up the base. But I really like the way they came out. They really were a fun thing to build. And I don't usually, like doing more than just the acrylic on the flying stands. But this is not the this is not GW. This is actually acrylic, clear acrylic rod, because I wanted something very strong. And here's the last of these. So yeah, combined again. The skill. This is like 3 different kits. This is I believe, if I remember correctly. No, I'm actually misremembering this. I think this is the Black Knight horse bodies. Yep, Black Knight / Hexrate horse bodies. And then I added on. This is only 2 kits, and I added on the Carrion wings, the updated Tomb King's Carrion wings. They have all that flesh pieces, they have bones, just really fit and made them look kind of Pegasus-like. So I can use them in a variety of different ways. This is what I'm doing for Vargeists. These could be either Pegasus Knights, because they're going to have riders very similar to my Blood Knights, the ones with the fur, and they have lances. I'm going to use these mostly as Vargeists, but I can also use them as Pegasus Knights. I'm going to call them my Peg Whites, my Pegasus Whites, W-I-G-H-T, instead of Pegasus Knights. And I have 6 of these, but one of them is going to be converted up to be my Necromancer on a Pegasus, but it also could be a damsel on a Pegasus for use as a on the Bretonnians. So this is a good example of that. And just so you know, with the kit, this is the Vargeist wings, so makes it very easy to recognize as Vargeist. These are the Dark Rider. I think these are Dark Rider horse. Just wanted something a little bit different, something to stand out, and I like the way those came out. Then I have a couple of different things here. These, instead of Vargulfs, big giant bats that couldn't fly, I wanted something that was suitably Bretonnian and unique. These are griffins. So these are bat-winged griffins. These are my Vargulfs. I have 3 of them. I think I'm going to do something different with one of them, just because they used to be, when they first were released, they were released as a unit. So you literally could field 2 or 3 of them in one unit, and that was ridiculously powerful. But they changed it because the Vargulfs are now Vargulf courtiers, and they're more like characters. So I don't know if I'm going to mount this guy. I might. I have the Elector Count that came with it. That was the kit. It's an Empire Elector Count on a Griffin. I have that guy. I might try to put him on there if he still fits, you know, up top the wings, because that'll help him stand out as well. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. I mean, I could always put just a Bretonnian Knight on there, a regular Knight of the Realm rider. But I kind of like these as just as they are. They are characters, but again, they're griffins, potentially maybe griffins that were groomed to be ridden by Bretonnian knights back in the old times, before the end times, and now they're being corrupted and they have bat wings. And I have 2 of those, this one here and this one here. This one is a little different, and I know some people are going to say this is kind of sacrilege, but I'm sure you'll recognize that this is King Louis's mount. And I put some bat wings on him. Now, I've contemplated putting, you know, King Louis back on here, and I think I'm going to make one up, and I'm going to put King Louis on there, and use this as King Louis, just a corrupted version of him. But this can also be a Abyssal Terror, a Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror, so I'm going to have a rider on here, of course. It's made for a rider, but I've actually used this as a Vargulf along with those other 2. So I have a unit of Vargulfs, but since there's no longer ability to have units of Vargulfs, they're now single models again, and now they're character heroes. I'm going to do something special with this guy apart from the other 2. Because I don't think I'll need more than 2 Vargulfs. But it's nice that I have this still, because I can do something with it, and I'm going to find a dual purpose. But again, this is all carryover stuff from, you know, from prior to end times when there was a Bretonnia, and it fits and works well, just as well, to work in this concept. Didn't really do a whole lot of real changes with the corpse cart, but I did magnetize it so I can swap out, for instance, the top pieces, like as you see there, and I can put in, you know, this. These are all magnetized as well, so got a few options. This is not complete. Certainly, I don't have I'm painting up the corpses that are going to go into the corpse cart. I've got the Bretonnian-themed Mortis Engine / Coven Throne, and the reason why I say slash is because this whole top part is magnetized and comes off, and I have another Coven Throne top part that will go and snatch. I have 2 of these that will attach onto there, and I think I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to use him. I want to use one of these damsels as the riders, certainly with the Coven Throne. Use damsels and a prophetess as the vampires on the Coven Throne, but that's the plan there. And as you can see, these are not Black Knights, these are Bretonnians in the Spirit Host that is kind of carrying this bone chariot aloft that makes up the Mortis Engine. So there's that, and there's more here. There's more. So I needed Graveguard. So I made 2 different types of Graveguard. I made the sword, the 2-handers, and the sword and shield. And I wanted dismounted dismounted knights, dismounted Bretonnian knights. So I used the kits from the men-at-arms, the champions, put on Bretonnian helms, and gave them different types of weapons. So this is my great weapon standard bearer for the Grave Guard. This obviously can come off, and they're ready to be painted up. Let's see if I can get a better picture of that there. All right, he's got a great axe, so that'll be from that unit. Another great weapon wielding Grave Guard. Can't use this currently, of course, with the Bretonnians because they don't have dismounted knights as a unit. I know in 9th Age they do, but this is the one that I have here. Another one, pointing, you're next. I just love the pointing fact, the pointing aspect there. And then here are some examples of the ones that are going to be with sword, and weapon, and shield. The shield obviously not put on yet because he is not ready. You're going to have to wait till after I paint them. This one's just holding up some corpse heads. So he'll have his shield on his back. Here's one, tooting his horn, a musician. Just, a whole bunch of different ones here. Here, some different poses. Using some of the shoulder pads from the Black Knight kit. But these will be my Grave Guard. All right, and then I have a converted up Vampire Lord. Now I have a bunch of things I can do with him. I haven't rebased him yet. But this is the old Arcan mounted model, and I just love that model. We've seen that done plenty of times. His head is magnetized, so if I want to use a vampire head like so, I can. See that old vampire head from the Vampire Lord kit? I just like the way that looks. But if I want to make it obvious that he is a Vampire Lord, I can do that. He's got his shield. This is King Louis's shield. I thought about putting wings here and making this guy the Abyssal Terror, and I still might do that. He's got Arcane Sword, but hey, if I don't want Arcane Sword, I can go and do that. And you can see there, fleur-de-lis here, kind of accentuating the sword. Here, let's see that there. That looks kind of nice. Very Bretonnian. If I want to make it a lance, I mean, I love WYSIWYG, and I just would prefer to have different options. And when I first started doing this again back in 8th, there were lots of more options than there is today. There are certainly options in a lot of these kits, but you kind of get them for free, so you can pick and choose what you want, which is fine. I have no problem with that. I have, this is going to be, and I can interchange these. This is probably going to be a standard bearer. So I'm probably going to have, for instance, I'm either going to have the banner. I don't know if I can get that. That's kind of a little fuzzy there. Here we go. So this is an example of what used to be man. I'm going to give him a lance up here, which is all fine. And he is going to he's going to be another knight that could be either a White King standard bearer, or he could be a Vampire Lord mounted. And then I have something else that's unusual. You need a couple of stone throwers. So I used some bits from. I'm using these bits from the Tomb King's Screaming Skull Catapult, but we need a trebuchet. So I'm actually building one that's going to be kind of ghostly. So I'm using the body of the Abyssal Terrors, the Mortarch Abyssal Terrors, and I'm going to have these standing up like this. It kind of looks like the one, the actual authentic one that is the Tomb King's one, but I didn't want the one that looked like the Tomb King's, but this is going to be like that. I'm going to have a bunch of skeleton all made out to look like Bretonnian hats. And this will be my stone thrower. I'm going to have 2 of these because, I'm going to use them as Screaming Skull Catapults or as trebuchet, so I'm going to have them appropriately modeled up. And, this is a small segment of what is a massive collection. I mean, I think I have about 30 of these, which are the Grave Guard. Again, 12 of the Blood Knights. I've got probably about 120 of my left of my zombies. I had about 300. I've got 2 corpse carts, 2 of these that are interchangeable, the Mortis Engine / Coven Throne. And I'm working towards 16 rather of the Black Knights. I think I only have about 8 so far built. I'll have 6 of these knightly spirit hosts. Some of them are actually men-at-arms, just to give them that. 12, just to give a little flavor, 12 of these hex wraiths, which, because I would field them with 2 units of 6, but now they'll be just either 1 unit of 10 or 2 units of 5. I've got 2 zombie dragon / I've got 2 Terrorgeists, one of which can be a zombie dragon, zombie lord, and another one coming. 12 Cryptars, potentially. No, 12 Cryptars, but not potentially. They are Cryptars, excuse me, and there are 12 of them. I think it's like 38, I think, of these ghouls. 30 or 38, something like that. I have another 10 coming that I'm going to, of the flagellants, so I can use those. An assortment of converted up damsels in various stages, and as well as, I think I have like 4 or 5 White Kings, some mounted, some that could be standard bearers. Obviously, this one can be a standard bearer or a great weapon. I can use Krell just as a regular great weapon. I could just throw the right helm on there, magnetized already, and he will be an appropriate looking Bretonnian-esque great weapon wielding. He could be the captain or the champion of the great weapons wielding Graveguard. Even that would work out nicely as well. So there's a lot here. This is just one table. I have 3 cases that are about 4 to 5 feet tall that are filling these guys up. The skeletons, I have probably about 75 skeletons built, and I've got another 30 that are being converted up specifically to have helms that are from the men-at-arms. Those are going to be on the back burner because I have enough skeletons to use in game, but I want to start painting some of this. So I've been putting putting on hold the actual of converting more models, except to complete what I already have. And this is going to be what I'm going to be drawing from to complete the PMP challenge, the fall challenge, which is going to include building out a unit each month and painting it up and completing it and finishing it. There'll be several characters, a monster, a war machine. I think the war machine that I'm going to use is potentially this one. The monster will probably be my vampire lord on a zombie dragon. I really want to put him up and make him look good. Between the units, I have all of these units to choose from for 6 units to really put finishing paint on, completing, sealing, and just putting it to bed that I don't have to look back and say, damn, this is in midstream or it's just primed. Either way, I'm really looking forward to tackling this and really making it a priority. And I'm going to be, doing a vlog on it. I'll be giving you updates. I'm looking forward to getting feedback, but this is going to be a long-term project. I am going to be completing this until it is complete. So I appreciate and thank you very much, as always, Vince. You always put up really good topics, really the kind of things that inspire dialogue, that encourage involvement and conversation, that the kind of things that inspire and motivate, and I appreciate that wholeheartedly because it's going to be something that I'm going to use very, very much as motivation to getting this passion project back, in action, and working towards completing a good large bulk of it. And again, I'll be showcasing it, I'll be showing it off, I'll be putting it up on the PMP, I'll be doing videos on it, and I just can't wait to really start putting some paint onto these models, and then of course putting them on the table and showing you more battle reports that are interesting. Hopefully, maybe even taking these to some competitions, some tournaments. I'm not looking for Golden Demon. I'm not looking for Crystal Brush. I just want to have a really nice army that would just a pleasure to play, but also a pleasure for the people on the other side to play against. Interesting, story-driven, thematic, and just something that is not going to be the kind of thing that you're going to see anywhere else. You're not going to ever see this up on eBay. It would require, you know, the down payment value of a house for somebody to actually pry this away once it's done. It's going to sit in a case, and it's going to get passed on to my son after I am long buried and 6 feet under, and maybe even I'll then be a part of this collection. Okay, thanks again for being a part of this update and watching it and tuning in general, and tell me a little bit about your big pet passion project, the craze that drives you, that you're looking to complete, and maybe you'll join in with the PMP. Go check it out. Painters Motivating Painters on the YouTuber channel and the Google Plus community page. And thanks again for tuning in, and have a great day, everybody.